Hi everyone and welcome to your Halloween special pick a card reading. Regardless of where it is that you live in the world, which culture you belong to, in so very many places of the world, this period, maybe not necessarily the 31st of October, so Halloween, is still considered a special period when the veil between the worlds is especially thin. And this gives us the chance to connect to our ancestors, to the spirit world, that much more strongly. And at the same time, in very many places in the world, people usually honor their ancestors, honor their dead. So like always, I dedicate a special pick a card reading to this really beautiful and quite touching celebration by just allowing the spirit world, especially ancestors and, deceased relatives and, of course, even spirit guides to just deliver the message that they want. So their message and actually who or what I'm channeling is totally random. This is where it's really their celebration. So they kind of deliver the message that they really want. So when, you get to the phase where you choose your pile, keep this in mind that it can be anyone or anything. It can be a deceased relative or it can be any kind of spiritual power that is beyond the veil. So like always, just look at the 5 pile of cards for a couple of seconds or as much as you need to, and then choose the one which sparks your intuitive senses the most. And here I do apologize for the bad quality of the image of the photograph, but this is where I meet my limits. I'm really not good at this. Neither do I have any kind of equipment, so I am really sorry. I'll try to improve in this part, but I know I promised you guys and also myself this for months, and I'm still exactly where I was when I started this channel from an artistic perspective, so all I can do is try my hardest. But anyway, the timestamps for the interpretations of the 5 piles can be found in the description of this video and also in the comments. So with this being said, let's allow the spirit world to deliver their message to us. Hello everyone who has chosen the first pile. Now, before I begin, I would just like to say that for this specific pick a card reading, the cards themselves don't really matter. The cards are actually, in this case, just for me. So you guys just sit back and enjoy the message and don't pay attention to the cards. But to compensate for the bad quality of the photo, I'm still gonna just tell you the cards that are there because maybe it's not very visible. So we have the Magician reversed, the Ten of Swords reversed, the Fool, and the Queen of Cups. So for you guys who chose the first pile, I do sense that this message is coming through from a relative of yours, a female relative. It can be a grandmother, a great-grandmother, or even going back further. But we're not talking about some kind of ancient ancestor, because you at least heard of this female relative. Now the first thing she would like you to know is that maybe some of you do know this about her, while for others of you this was never actually made clear, but she wasn't a usual everyday woman. She did have a very strong spiritual side, but for reasons which she doesn't necessarily want to voice here, she kind of kept that hidden, so not everyone knew that she was very, very special. She kind of knew a lot of herbs and plants and what to do with it. If she lived in a rural place, she might have had this unofficial role of a midwife, or she went to women in the village giving birth and she helped them. She was a really wise lady and she gave advice to a lot of people during her life. And this is very important because you inherited this from her. your dreams, your visions, you being attracted to the spiritual side of things. But this is where not necessarily like religion, maybe the mystery of all, or even if it had a religious package, if that makes sense, you were attracted to the mystery within the religion. You kind of knew that there is power within. And this female and relative ancestor was religious herself, but maybe she practiced the unofficial side of religion. Like, what I'm receiving here is maybe she was a very devoted Catholic, but she kind of practiced like the praise and worship of Mary. So, she did cross a certain boundary to the mystery, or perhaps the more ancient roots of Catholicism. She wasn't like a typical churchgoer, if that makes sense. And why is this important? It is because you also inherited her very own spirit guides, her very own spiritual blessings, because what she did with her faith, she helped a lot of people in so very many different ways, not always necessarily with, mystery and spirituality and magic, sometimes quite physically. She had a really, really kind heart, and she used to help like total strangers, anyone who would encounter any kind of difficulty, and it was in her power to help. An image with what I'm receiving here is she did live in a period between the two world wars, and there was a lot of poverty, famine during that time, or simply, soldiers marching, and some of those soldiers were very, very hungry, and she just used to hand out food, anything that she could to those people who were in, big difficulty. And that gesture of someone just handing you, a slice of bread or something when you're truly hungry, she built up a lot of good karma for herself, despite the fact that she had a very, very difficult life, and she never got the chance to enjoy that good karma. And not necessarily because good things didn't happen to her, but she had a very Saturnian spirit, if you know what I'm saying. She said, no thank you, I'm okay the way I am. I can provide for myself, I'm strong enough, I don't want to receive, I want to give. She was that kind of woman. And you inherit a lot of this from her. You might, this strength, this generosity, this maturity as a human being, this dignity might be deeply rooted in your instincts. So maybe it comes for you naturally as well. And many times in your life, you personally had to actually fight against this because it was so strong to go and help, to go be generous, to just be a kind human being. But anyway, her message is not really about kindness and stuff like that. It's truly about you taking control back over your life. And when I say your life, maybe you suffered a period of the past 10 months, maybe the past year, maybe 2020, 2019, when your life just descended into total chaos. One area of life followed the other. It was like a domino. Everything just fell apart. And sometimes not necessarily in a material sense, sometimes just in a psychological sense, like friendships lost their charm, people just backstabbed you. You lost interest in so many things that before used to matter to you a lot. Maybe that, in some of those things, you maybe were a little control freak, not in an unhealthy sense, but maybe that was your shadow. You liked your life to be stable and balanced, but in a controlling sense, so not going with the flow. And even though you kind of understood the lesson, why it fell apart like a domino, why people left your life, why maybe you had a career change as well. You kind of understood everything that happened to you, why it was necessary, and by all means you do see the good side, you appreciate it, you are grateful. You truly embraced the lesson, made it your own, so you displayed a lot of spiritual maturity. But the problem is, your life didn't change enough for you to actually consider that, yeah, I'm living a totally different life now, that I had my moment of rebirth, that my life is so different now that when I look back, that almost seems like a previous life. So you didn't have this moment of perhaps regeneration. You did have it spiritually, you did have it psychologically, but maybe not materially, physically, better said. Because yes, for some of you it is actually about material things like a home, a source of income, a business or something like that, that still needs not to fall into place, because I do sense that it has already fallen into place, but the flow has to basically come through in order for you to actually harvest something, or for you to say that, yeah, I'm okay now, I'm stable, I'm living a different life. While for others, it's more about maybe connections, relationships, the place where you live, in a sense that, you have this mental, psychological, spiritual freedom, you embraced it, you made it your own, you fought for it, you did all that you needed to do, but you're still not free factually, if this makes sense. And, this isn't the kind of energy where you might be in doom and gloom and full of frustration and anger and not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Not at all. You are actually okay in the now, living in the now, and the fact that your life is not yet the way it has to be does no longer upset you. What you might be feeling is a moment of powerful honesty where you might say to yourself, well, healing and a life change and a profound inner transformation, well, it does take actually a lot of time. It does take years until, everything just settles down and even physically falls into place. It's really not like snapping your finger and, the world collapsed on you yesterday and you're already living a new life today. And you might even say, but it's okay. It should be this way. So basically you're willing to be patient. You're willing to just go with the flow and not stop working, not stop feeling defeated, and also not allow frustrations and, the bad moments to get to you. Of course, there are some bad days, there are some frustrating days, there are some days when your soul screams that I want to live my authentic life already in a real sense. But you have the inner strength of that female ancestor, your great-grandmother or whoever she is, where you also tell yourself, but I can endure, I can do this the hard way, it's okay. And now we get to her true message, because what she's saying is the fact that you have this mindset that you're okay waiting, and that you do actually, in a truly authentic, in a very, very honest way, perceive all of this, what you're going through, as the way it should be, and you're grateful for that. Sometimes you even reach to that kind of spiritual wisdom high where you say, in your hearts of hearts, you actually prefer it this way. Where maybe a few months ago you said, I want it now, I want it, like a quantum leap. I want it to fall out from the sky because I deserve it, I worked for it. All of these positive self-talk kind of things. And the person who you are now says, no, I don't want it to fall from the sky. I really want to work for it because I'm doing it. And I know that by doing it this way, it is really just a matter of time. This way I cannot go wrong, so I don't care. Even if it takes 10 years, I'm not gonna back away. And this female ancestor is telling you, by doing that, by having that moment of maximum honesty and maturity, well, you can already consider whatever you're working on, whatever your true, authentic, free life has to look like in a real sense, physical sense, you kind of already have it. So that means it's coming. Something is coming your way. Your dreams are telling you that. Your intuition is telling you that. And again, you are so very wise that you don't even allow yourself to get into that excited state, the state of serendipity and just, all of your body tingling with anticipation. You're actually displaying so much maturity that you're saying, if it comes, I'm not gonna celebrate too early. What I'm celebrating is that I did it, I'm doing it, I survived, I'm okay. But still, something inside of you still is suggesting very insistingly in this period that something is heading your way, and it is. And what this female ancestor is telling you, when it comes, don't be like her. Don't do her mistake, if that makes sense. Accept it unapologetically. The way it comes, how it manifests, because it's gonna be like a, lightning bolt moment. Something will truly fall into your lap. It's gonna be like the beginner's luck. Everything that you lived through, because you are a very life experienced person, if that makes sense, but all of that doesn't actually matter to who you are now, because you did have a proper, rebirth moment. So your past is almost like symbolically, but also quite literally, it feels like a past life, a past incarnation. You're so that different to who you are now. So that also means that you have this beginner's luck because you have nothing to basically build upon. And whenever that happens, that's almost like giving a green light to the universe. Go and do stuff for me. Guide me the way you want. The more chaotic, the more random, the better. And naturally, that is definitely part of the picture, part of the story. And that's something which kind of everyone experiences, their own special way, of course. But anyway, the essence here, your female ancestor is telling you, don't be like her. Embrace everything that comes in your way, regardless of what it is. Opportunity, moment of big good fortune, a connection, a friend, an ally, a sponsor, a love. Whatever you might need in your life, embrace it with everything you got, even if it's excessive, because the excess might not really be for you. It might be for someone else, your family, a family member, parent, your child, someone who you're gonna meet in, 10 years, or a year, or even a month. Whenever the universe gives you a great excess, don't really guilt trip yourself into thinking that I only need this much, and by just taking what I need, I'm actually, embodying the Christ consciousness or whatever. Because yes, that is absolutely true. But maybe you personally don't need that lesson. That which is given to you, you don't need it. Don't need to learn it 10 times over. She did that. Your female ancestor did that karmically. She learned that lesson so well that it's in your genes, in your instinct. You don't need to learn that again. So now accept the excess and do what she couldn't. Make the lives of your, friends, family, children, whatever, easier by sharing the excess that you are going to have. When that comes, no one knows, that's absolutely certain. If the universe doesn't know, no one knows. But what can be known that it's not that far away. So take everything that is offered to you. Use, of course, what you need, but keep the rest. Preserve the rest. Because that is also the karmic contribution of this female ancestor of yours. Because maybe when she got really, really old, or before the end of her life, she realized that would she have accepted all the good things that life offered to her, would she have sometimes went against her modesty? Maybe her children and her ascendants would have had a much easier life in so very many sense. But it's no problem at all. What she couldn't do, you can do. So her own karmic heritage was also part of why you had that massive hardship. And this might not be what happened in 2020 or 10 months ago or whatever. Might not be your first rodeo. You might have had so many ups and downs in life. You paid for certain karmic patterns of other ancestors of yours, and you never realized that you have so much good karma here until now. So take it, embrace it, and what you don't need, preserve it, because you will have who to share it with. Let's just say it like that. So this is what your female ancestor would like to tell you. She encourages you, she loves you, she is so proud of you, and if she wants you, almost obsessively wants you to do something, is to receive what is rightfully yours and embrace it, enjoy it, love it, and never allow anyone to make you feel guilty for being an honest, dignified, moral, loving human being, because if there is in the universe something that is never a mistake, well, that is it. It's only those who are twisted and other bad qualities who might want to make it that way. But she passed on, she's a spirit, she's a tiny bit divine, so how she sees things, the world and life and karma and whatever, is much truer to anything anyone could tell you. So thank you everyone who chose the first pile. I do hope that this resonated and that you enjoyed it. I wish everyone a blessed Halloween/Day of the Dead. May your ceremonial fires burn as bright as your soul. Hello everyone who have chosen the second pile. First of all, I would like to say that the cards for this reading don't really matter, but I'm still gonna read them out to you because of the bad quality of the photo. You might not really see what cards you chose. So you have the Six of Wands, the Moon reverse, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Six of Cups, but the cards don't matter for you. This time they're just for me. You just sit back and enjoy the message. Now, of course, first of all, who is this message from? And maybe this will be a surprise as much to you as it was for me, because this spirit is not related to you. It is not a relative. It is not an ancestor. And you might not really remember who he is, he or she, even though I'm picking up a more masculine energy. For some people it might actually be a lady, and this takes you back to your childhood, because you kind of met this person while they were alive. Now this person might have been in their elderly years. Even if it's not like very elderly, they were still old, considerably older than your parents. And this person might have been a neighbor or lived relatively close around where you lived. Or maybe your family, your parents might have been either really good acquaintances or friends with this person. When I say friends, it's not the, big type of friendship, but, just a friendly neighbor, a friendly old man or old lady. So anyway, what truly matters is that you kind of encountered this person more than once in your childhood, and maybe this person, regardless if it was like a direct neighbor or just lived near you, they might have, given you candy or, the usual stuff which elderly people do with children. Maybe you even visited their house. Maybe you had conversations. Maybe you played near their home or their house and they just smiled upon you and basically they just enjoyed it as well. Maybe for some of you it wasn't really the neighbor or acquaintance friend of your parents. Maybe it was your grandparents. But anyway, you did encounter this person, more than once in your childhood. And either they moved away or you moved away. And then, time passed and they passed on naturally. And why does this matter so much? Why does this spirit remember you? And not just remember, but maybe they're like a guardian spirit, not someone who might watch over you day and night, but they're still part of your sphere, if that makes sense. And the reason why is, of course, you were a child, you might have never known this. That person suffered from loneliness. Maybe their relatives, their children, or their grandchildren either were living at great distance, maybe in a different country, or maybe they lost a child or a grandchild. So, they had sorrow in their hearts. And you just brightened up their lives. You, even as a child, naturally, you had something very special about you. You had like a very, how should I say, nurturing spirit. You weren't like other children, you were much more loving, even to total strangers. And they kind of saw either who they missed or who they lost, or for some who they never had in you. So you really made their lives, without even knowing, really, really sweet. You gave them hope, you gave them, a magic. And they always kind of blessed you. They always wished you a beautiful, successful, and wonderful life. So this is where the energy of that blessing lingered in your life for maybe even today, it's still there. But enough about them. Let's talk about you now and their message. What I see here is that from a psychological perspective, especially, you have been through a really tough and challenging time where, literally you were living on hope was like your soul food. That was the only thing you could cling on to. You kind of were sinking so deep, and sometimes even sinking deep into depression, not just loneliness, and hope was like a rubber ducky. It couldn't actually make you float, but it kind of made your sinking much slower, giving you the chance to sometimes just swim up to the surface and have a breath of air. And this loneliness, for some of you, this might have been divorce. This might have been an end of a very important connection, friendship, an end of career, where the career was even symbolic because you just lost your place in the world. For some of you, quite physically. You kind of felt like you didn't belong anywhere. You felt like you had no real purpose in this existence, in this life. The moon reversed, I know I said I'm not going to speak about tarot, but I have to in this sense. The moon reversed is the energy of almost like a demonic fear of being forever alone. It is almost like your soul is screaming inside of you that someone please notice me because I'm alive. I have so much beauty and love within me, Am I really condemned to keep it just bottled up inside me and not share it with anyone forever? And this does sound a little bit dramatic and wishy-washy, but maybe for whatever reason you had moments like that, and hope was your only light at the end of the tunnel. And what this benevolent, friendly spirit wants to tell you is that they kind of lived in a very real, down-to-earth, quite even material sense, that sometimes in life when hope is strong enough, it can do things. It can change lives. It can be a force of miracle. Hope is almost like a spider who is weaving her web. The spider is, let's say, hungry, condemned to death. But as long as her web is there, that's like hope. Something can still get caught up in it. The only way the spider dies is if it doesn't weave her web. And weaving her web, well, it's very energy consuming and quite in a scientific term, because the substance comes from her body, and if she didn't eat for a lot of time, well then, that's giving potential nourishment out, making her starvation, her fate of starving to death even more certain, but at the same time, she's also giving herself the chance to catch something in that web. And that web might either be let's say your work, a hobby of yours, something that you immersed in yourself, maybe spirituality, maybe inner work, maybe, as I said, hobby, maybe you're an artist. It is something that really is keeping you going. And the glue that keeps everything together is the power of your hope. Because, know it or not, that is your biggest power. And I also see that maybe right now you're not in a bad place. You are a little bit lonely, but it's not killing you. It's symbolically, of course. It's not, poisoning your soul. It's not doom and gloom. It's not drama. It's not depression. You're okay. But you still kind of need that web of yours to twitch. And of course, what that means depends on you. A lover, if you're lonely in that sense, or if it's work, career, a successful moment, maybe money, material wealth, or if it's like you're an artist, recognition. So it's what you're looking for, what your soul is looking for, the moon. It is like something physical, palpable, down to earth, but regardless of what that is, even if it's money, like you might say, well, what does that have to do with anything? Well, the essence of it, the symbol of why you need that, is because that will lead you to a non-lonely state, if that makes sense. So this friendly spirit is telling you, if you ever had hope in your life, if you ever believed in what you hope for, well, that time is now. Give everything that you can, everything that you are, all the power of your dreams, all your faith, everything into what you hope for, and you're gonna make it happen. Trust him or her. Because the way you were for that person, a manifestation of their hopes, you made them without even knowing so very happy, and you gave them this strength to look forward to life, to actually enjoy it. And they are so grateful that now they are actually lending you their strength, their help, their spiritual aid. So if you might have certain random, unexplainable moments of nostalgia, flashbacks to childhood, dreams when you're a child and you're living your childhood, memories, or maybe if you are close to your family, maybe random conversations, your mom or someone telling you, oh, remember when you were little, or you have this urge to look at childhood photos, it's the influence of the spirit. The spirit is working very strong to evoke the inner child in order to pump hope into your being, because very soon your, symbolically speaking, web is gonna twitch and something is gonna be there. A manifestation of your hope. Of course, right now, the way the world looks like, the way outer reality, that which of course has nothing to do with you, you have no control over it. You might think, well, not now, not in this day and age, not when the whole world is upside down, but maybe that is the true power of hope. Maybe, sometimes even when all odds are against you, that is the true strength of hope. It can still happen, so believe it. Hope it, believe it, want it, wish it, and do not give up. Because you might be alone in your dimension, let's say, but you're not alone spiritually. So this spirit actually wants to thank you. Thank your inner child for how you maybe saved their lives. You made it so much more brighter with your energy, with your child, like innocence, laughter, or whatever it is that you did. And really, that's about it. This is like a message of gratitude and also encouragement that you will see your hope manifest before your eyes in a way that, of course, it's not under your control and it's not how you envisage it, but you will see it, definitely. So this is what the Spirit has to say for you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Wish everyone a blessed Halloween/Day of the Dead. And especially now, know that you're really, really not alone. Hi everyone who has chosen the third pile. Now in this reading, the cards do not really matter. They're really not for you, they're for me. All you need to do is sit back and enjoy the message. But I'm still gonna tell you the cards because of the bad quality of the photo. So you guys had the 9 of Wands reversed, the King of Wands, the 4 of Swords reversed, and the Temperance. Now first of all, who is this message from? Well, surprisingly, for the previous two piles, they were like ghost spirits in the sense that they did live. For you guys, it's not a spirit who ever was incarnated. It is either an angel, guardian angel, or for others of you, you might perceive this as an extraterrestrial consciousness, let's say. But this consciousness, regardless if it's an angel or something similar to it, has been watching over you for maybe all of your life, but it has been very active in certain important periods in your life, in the sense that you just knew that something was there, something was working, something was watching over you, sending you messages or info, stuff like that. And one of these phases, periods, was 2012, and it lasted until perhaps 2014. Then it went a little bit quiet because you were immersed into life in a strong sense, let's just say it like that. And then around either 2018, 2019, it started coming back on. This very strong, benevolent presence, along with guidance, synchronicity, but the way it kind of manifested or played out, or the way you perceived it, was different. In the 2012 cycle, it might have been a bit like mysterious, a bit paranormal, fascinating. But in 2019 or whatever the next cycle was, it was much more like, how should I say, direct. It is where it was telling you straight to your face, enough with, mysteries and symbolics. Go and do what you need to do, and I'm here with you, encouraging you and supporting you. And also, what was very special whenever you doubted, because, doubt is not bad. Doubt is actually the key to healthy faith, so that is actually a good thing. But whenever you had strong doubt, it like bombarded you with synchronicities, so much so that you just couldn't doubt anymore. It was everywhere you looked. Either the number things or messages, songs. It was like so intense that it almost bothered you, so how can you doubt? And for some of you, it was so powerful that you even provoked, if it's the universe or spirit guide or whatever doing this, then do this, that, and that. And it actually did it literally, one after another, until you just couldn't doubt. Now, of course, it didn't get you far. It didn't get you anywhere, knowing that it's actually there, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that you're much more familiar with this angelic presence than you actually think. But anyway, let's get to the message, because the message is quite important for you guys. This is where it's taking us back to 2019. That might have been a very, very important year for you in a quite dual and bittersweet sense. Your spiritual power just maybe overnight just grew, and you just felt very, very different. You might have felt like reality wasn't reality anymore. And of course, there was a strong sense of anticipation, optimism, serendipity. Because something very specific about you, you always wanted to be immersed into the mysterious side of life, literally, as in, you always had this let's just say when you were younger, you were reading like stories or anything that has to do with supernatural things, and you were saying like, I want to live it, I want to see it, I want to experience it on my own skin. And in 2019, it started in the sense that you were actually in it, living it, experiencing it, trying to make sense of it. And you might have thought that maybe this is your big moment. This is the moment when you awaken, when you ascend. This is the moment when not only do you see the paranormal, the mysterious side of life display and unfold in front of you, but you also are a part of that in an integral, literal sense. And while, of course, that might have been part of all of that, it was also a year when, your life just crashed. It collapsed. And this collapse was like a double-edged sword, because some bad things happened to you in a karmic way, or, the tower moment in tarot, even though the tower is not part of your reading, I just use its symbolism, the lightning bolt. There it is, the problem. The big, unavoidable, unsolvable challenge. The loss, the drama, the crisis. But the other hand, another side of this was your own doing, your own work, where you, and don't understand this in a negative sense, but you saw things for what they truly are, and you just said, I'm not going to be part of this anymore. May that be a job, anything that has to do with society, because I do believe that society, symbolically to be understood, of course, was your biggest enemy, because it was full of deception, it was full of, below the belt kind of things. Totally dishonorable, manipulative, quite evil, if I am allowed to even use this word. You saw it wanting to enslave everyone, and it really triggered you, and you realized that the only way you can do something is that, first of all, you withdraw. You end it. You cut cords with everyone and everything that you perceived as untrue. Now, of course, this basically targeted all your relationships, Everyone who you judged as being untrue was cut off. But this also had a negative side, that you just lost and lost and lost. And since you were also in a crisis, maybe a material crisis, maybe your job, your livelihood, your career, your marriage, your home, something that basically took the ground away from your feet, so you were like in quicksand, and that made it even worse. And you said you don't care, whatever happens, but even if you're going down totally, at least you're going down with your truth and honesty. And that was like a massive blow to you spiritually, because at first hand you were expecting big things in a good sense, like the life that you always dreamed of, the friends, the allies, the community, the connections that you always dreamed of. If you went through a divorce, the partner you always dreamed of, soulmate and stuff like that, twin flame. And instead of all the good, the gold and glitter, you got the opposite. Problems so hard to solve that they almost challenged your sanity. You fought with everything that you've got. That's absolutely true. You did get out of the problems. Right now your life is totally different. You're, let's say, sane in the sense that you found your balance, you found your faith, you found your truth. You eliminated all illusions and carrots on a stick, if that makes sense. Spiritual gurus, twin flames, and questionable spiritual elements like that. You also knew that what was promised to you was not glitter and gold and power and supernatural stuff, but just truth, living in your truth, living in your dignity, being who you truly are, being emotionally intact, healed, and living your dream basically, because you're still not in your old reality. Reality is still not there for you. It is still like an ocean of Legos where you still build what you want to build, but at least you see it for what it is, the Lego pieces. Not something that someone tells you to do this and that. Not where it's your destiny to do this and that. No, everything is free. You do what you want. You do what you feel like, and basically that is the biggest truth. On one hand, that takes away the mysterious, the carrot of on the stick element, but at the same time, isn't that real bliss? Isn't that true healing? That life is really what you make of it. So right now, I have to use the tarot even though I promised I wouldn't. You are that King of Wands. You are actually the master of your own reality. You did the work, and the most important thing is you found your own truth, your own philosophy, your own spirituality. No more books, no more internet, no more swallowing other people's way of seeing things, let's say it like that. If there is a supernatural element in your life, it's not because someone says this and that. It's because you live it and perceive it without labels, without the book, without the course, without anything. Freedom. So basically that is what you achieved. But you also were wounded in the process, much more than you realized, because you displayed such a great strength that, you had moments when you had to go against the world. And if there was a miraculous element in your story, was that you triumphed and not the world. You kind of already had your victory, but you needed to rest. You needed to detach. You needed to really get lost within yourself to heal, to regenerate, to find a balanced and true self-worth. You needed a time to become a human being once more. Because with whatever happened starting from 2019, you were so, let's say, catapulted up in the sky, up in the like 100 realities unfolding at the same time before your eyes, but still being trapped in one twisted, wicked, material reality, that was a really hard thing to do. And many times you just had to forget that you're a living, breathing human being who has an identity and who has to have a life. And you needed a very big rest, which sometimes seemed like a bit of stagnation, but anyway, you needed that to rebalance, recalibrate yourself, because rebirth and all of that, everything in the book that you could possibly imagine was already part of your story. You've been there, lived that, etc. And now it's time to get real. And for things to get real in the sense of balanced, healthy, yes, you are like a manifester of your reality and someone who can actually connect to angelic beings or extraterrestrials or whatever. But at the same time, you're also a man and a woman who has also very down-to-earth wishes, dreams, moments of pleasure, moments of sadness. Basically life, the magic, the miracle of life, life's small pleasures which are eternal. They were the same 5,000 years ago, they're the same today. So that's why you needed a long rest. So this angelic being, or whatever it is telling you to prepare yourself. Because you might be already feeling power building up inside of you. You know that very soon it will be time for action. And I do sense that even though this time of action does have like a spiritual element to it, but it will be like a physical action, maybe business, maybe a collaboration, maybe moving somewhere, maybe buying, investing into something, maybe a job, maybe something to truly make you king of your own castle, because you need earthly power right now. And earthly power doesn't necessarily mean money. It can mean anything that gives you a freedom to do something very practical in your life when you want it, when you desire it, when you need it. So your period of rest is coming to an end. And there is going to be a lot of action in your life. There is going to be a lot of momentum, a lot of certain opportunities, chances, even connections that will just come one after another. And this guardian spirit is telling this angelic being, that this is where you truly need to be yourself. That's all, that the power is there, the experience is there, the knowledge is there, the wisdom is there. But you need that courage to truly, authentically, unapologetically just be who you are, good and bad, weakness and strength, the ordinary part, but also the very unusual part. Everything that you are, just make decisions upon that, make choices based on that. Take off the mask symbolically immediately when you have a new connection in your life and just show who you truly are. Because whatever your visions, connections to the spirit world and to this guardian angel or spirit or whatever communication, and when I say communication, I do sense that it was quite literal. Maybe not with words as in conversing with someone, but what this entity told you was not symbolic. It was like this and this and this. It had a lot, it was almost like a real communication. So whatever was said to you, promised to you, prepared you for, that is coming now. So, to quote a song, courage taught you to be shy, stones taught you to fly, love taught you to lie, and life taught you to die. So, every experience that you had prepared you for this. The more dual it was, the better, the stronger, the more wise, the more authentic. Because that is how you build reality, with the contradiction, with the paradox. You need to know both sides to see the balance. So now your healing is complete, your rest is coming to an end, and it will be time for action. So go and live, but authentically. You know, symbolically, maybe this was a theme that your angel or whatever this is told you literally. It kind of promised you your wings back. So now you have your wings, so go and fly, go and do it. And you don't even need to know the rest, because this entity is right there helping you along the way. So, you know, you're really, really not alone. So thank you so much for listening. I wish you a blessed celebration, and may the spirits guide you and be with you. Hello everyone who has chosen the 4th pile. Now for this pick a card reading, the cards don't really matter. They're more like for me to channel better. All you have to do is just sit back and enjoy the message. But I'm still gonna tell you your cards because of the bad quality of the photo. So you guys had the Ace of Coins, the High Priestess, the Six of Cups, and the King of Cups. Now, of course, first of all, who is this spirit? Well, without a shadow of doubt, this is a very strong masculine energy, a very strong, caring, and protective masculine energy. But this is where perhaps there are more spirits who how should I even explain this? Who embody the same energy, so your situation might be slightly different. This can be either a grandfather, or a father, or a husband, a male energy, a masculine figure, even a fatherly figure, a protective figure who had a lot of love in his heart, but he didn't have a very easy life, quite the contrary. So he just couldn't express the extent of love and care that he had in his heart. So basically the first message is that maybe he couldn't actually show the full extent of his emotions, his love, his care. And maybe you, regardless of who this person, this relative is to you, you might have sometimes doubted it. You might have sometimes asked yourself, well, is the love truly there? Or am I disappointment to this person? And the answer is, oh no, not at all. When someone has a very tough life, a lot of responsibilities and hardships and stuff like that, who you are today, the person who you are today, understands this fully, if not maybe even better than this ancestor of yours, because ironically you kind of had the same karmic hardships in your life, so you kind of know how hard it is to be as loving as you want to be, as you feel it inside, when a lot of bad things happen. Maybe not bad things, but hard things happen to you. And the world many times is a place where when you express your love, it's like weakness. It is seen as weakness. So you kind of bottle it up. And even when you have that person who you really want to show it to, it doesn't work so easily anymore. So life is hard, basically. But anyway, not only that you are not and were never a disappointment, but what you did with your life, how you solved your problems, they're very, very proud of you. And there were moments in your life when you had a lot of difficulty, when you were really, really down. Maybe you expressively asked the father or the grandfather or whoever the husband, whoever this person was to you, to help you in that hardship, and they did. Their spirit and all their spiritual strength was there, because helping you, or protecting you better said, inspiring you, or doing the paternal thing for you regardless of who they were, that was their unfinished business in this life. They stayed very close to our plane, our existence, very close to the border between the whales, because they still are there, don't get me wrong, because they want to see this through. They want you to be in the best place possible. Only then will they say, my job is done and I'm moving on. But don't get this wrong, they're not staying because they are full of fear or they don't trust you or they feel like that it's their duty. Not at all. They can move on anytime they want. But they love you so much that they choose this. And maybe every Halloween or every November, if that makes sense, is very special to them because they're always closer to you and you might dream them, and maybe it's an anniversary of some kind for you. But anyway, this is where it's a little bit different for different people. If this is a grandfather, then it is the maternal grandfather, and maybe your father was a bad example for you in your life. Either he wasn't there or he was, I'm so sorry to even say this, alcoholic, or they did something not so nice either to you or with their own lives, or they didn't take care of the family, or there was domestic violence, which left scars on your soul. So this spirit, the grandfather spirit, knew that, you need at least a paternal energy in your life. So that's why they stayed, because you never had the father you deserve to have. So they filled that role, but from the other side. Now for others, it was actually your own father spirit who passed on, maybe prematurely, much younger than it would be natural, and it was your own life partner that didn't treat you right. And they said, well, that's okay, I'm still here. My body is not here, but my consciousness is definitely there, and especially if you're a daughter. But this can be totally true even if you're a son, so male. Whoever that partner was, they said, you're not gonna do what you want to my child because I'm still here. And one way or another, they stopped that partner of yours from, let's just say, making you sad, and you might have already, maybe you're even over that divorce, but you could not have had the strength without this protective spirit inspiring you, because maybe the biggest problem that you had, it was that partner, regardless if it's a wife or a husband, was diminishing yourself, belittling you one way or another. Or maybe you kind of felt like a total stranger to them and there was no way out of this marriage, and with the help of this spirit, you found a way. And for others still, this is a husband who you lost, or if you're a male, then maybe boyfriend who you lost. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that they always felt somewhat guilty, not just for leaving you, but maybe they couldn't find enough strength within themselves. And for some people this is literal, for other people maybe in a karmic sense, that they couldn't, how should I say, win the battle with life, and they lost in a literal sense, that they actually lost their physical bodies. And now the message. So I'm gonna begin with you guys, who lost the husband, because their message is very simple. You might have a new partner now, and many times you think back of them, and sometimes, especially at the beginning, you felt so guilty, and sometimes you're just confused. And this spirit tells you, well, the way you found this new partner perhaps was in a very, how should I say, either unusual or too good to be true or the best possible moment way. And they're telling you that it was their blessing, it was their orchestration, if that makes sense. So don't feel guilty, live life. you already honored their memory, and you understood and you thought about what you did wrong. For maybe you blamed yourself sometimes for their death, but you're already over accepted and live life. They're spirits now. They're more divine than human. Honor them with your happiness. Do things with your new partner that you could never do with them for whatever reason. So just be happy, because that feeds their spirit. That is their happiness now. And don't think of your new partner as replacement, but rather think of it as an even better version than the husband you lost, because that was the spirit's intent. And when a spirit thinks, you deserve better, well, that's actually literal. So just live, just embrace life, and would you ever need the help of the spirit again in your life, it will be there. And this spirit naturally watches over your new partner, even if your new partner is totally unaware, because they want to keep you safe. They want you to have the golden years, the retirement years that should have been with them, but this wasn't possible. Now, for those of you who the spirit is the father who protected you from, not necessarily protected you in that sense, from a not so good partner, a not so happy marriage, they're telling you to think back to your childhood, to think back to your education, to think back of what example your father taught you in everything in life. Because that is what true love, true wisdom, true understanding, and even discipline means. So let that somehow give you strength to erase the bad imprints, maybe traumas that partner left within you, because they raised you to be happy. They raised you to be strong. They raised you in such a way that your happiness should never depend on another person, regardless of what and who and how, period. So basically, you still have the strength within you, not just to be your healed self, but to have the partnership, the marriage, the love life that you truly, truly deserve. But as long as you don't see yourself the way this father raised you, so to be beautiful, to be intelligent, to have healthy sense of self-worth, not too much, not arrogant, not I'm the most beautiful person in the world, but in a way that my balance, my wisdom, my intelligence makes me beautiful. That is who they raised. So let that shine out and let that heal the trauma. And naturally, a father is father eternally. In this world, in the other world, so their energy, their spirit protects you. And you could see this literally playing out many times in your life. I have this kind of image, and this may not even resonate. Maybe this resonates for just one single person. So when you lost this person, so a father, maybe at the funeral or the wake or, the ritualistic side of this, either a butterfly or, something symbolic happened exactly when your soul was in the most bitter stages, the shock, the disbelief, the sadness. So it's telling you always remember that sign, because that sign was there to tell you that they still have power even from beyond the veil. And finally, for the last category, if that makes sense, for whom this is a grandfather, and you guys had a bad father, and I'm so sorry to say this. This grandfather might have been in the World War, or some kind of really bad situation like a world crisis, so not anything else. And not only they survived, they found the strength to live life to the fullest. Despite traumas, despite scars, even physical for some people, maybe the fight, the war, the violence left them not disabled but affected seriously, but they still found the strength to live life. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. And the point is, you can live life with eternal sorrow, never ever forgiving, but you can just choose to move on regardless and not allow the bad experiences to make you their own. So what they're telling you is, you basically raise yourself, you were your own father regardless of who it is that you are, and if you manage to raise yourself to be who you are today, honorable, diligent, wise, not full of toxin, sorrow, and etc., well, you already achieved everything. So you already done the impossible. Of course you're shy, of course you have down moments when you just can't believe in yourself because you never had the kind of support when you were little, and maybe this leaves you in a very bad material situation, always. You know, regardless of what you do, how good you are, how much you work, who you know, what connections you have, you always end up in the same place, losing or just, not being very well off. You have the power to change this. You are a survivor, so instead of feeling guilty of being a survivor by comparing your situation to maybe people who are less fortunate, of course there always are. Just choose to wanna live life with every fiber of your being, because you can heal, and you're a very wise person. You might have even studied courses, psychology. You really tried a lot to heal yourself, including spiritually. So you did a lot of work here, but the only thing that you're missing, and you're looking for it, and it's under your nose, and you just can't, you can't identify the missing element. It's this: wanna live life unapologetically. Don't ask questions why, don't care if you deserve it or not. Just live life and want to do it with every molecule, atom in your body, and you will get it immediately, because you have so much. I'm sorry, I know I said I'm not gonna speak about tarot and the cards, but the Ace of Coins cannot be ignored. The universe wants to give it to you. You earned it, you did whatever you can imagine, you did it. It wants to give it to you, but the way you say I accept it, I receive it to the universe, is not by actually voicing this. The way you say it is, I want to live life with every fiber of my being, and when you get to that stage, you'll get it. It will be handed down to you. And this grandfather knows it because he lived the same thing. So he knows exactly what you need to do. So rather than wait 10 years and soul search or search for answers in different places, just take his advice and want to live unapologetically, because that's what you're missing. That's the missing link. That's what you need to do. That's how he regained his life, and he moved on by forgetting what is susceptible to forgetfulness, if that makes sense, and forgiving the rest. When you want to move on in life, what happened must not matter, as hard as that is. You just have to forgive in order to move on. So this is what this paternal spirit has to say to you guys. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope you find a bit of strength in this. Thank you so much again for listening, and I wish you a blessed celebration, and honor the spirit as it does to you. Hello everyone who has chosen the 5th pile. Now first of all, The cards here don't really matter. They're more for me than they are for you. But I'm still gonna tell you your cards because of the bad quality of the photo, you might not see them. So you have the Nine of Pentacles, the Four of Cups reversed, the Wheel of Fortune reversed, and the King of Pentacles. Now before I begin, I would just like to say that for you guys, if you're not into magic or have anything to do with magic, this might not really be your pile, so you might wanna skip this and choose the other one of the other piles, because only someone who worked or works or is into magic will actually understand what I'm saying here. And this is because the spirit who is coming through is really not for everyone, because this is very, very specific. So if you're still here with me, that means that you are into magic. So the spirit who is coming through, well, let's just say that it has more depictions, more avatars. So some people might perceive the spirit as the horned god. Other people might perceive this as, let's say, Pan, while others still, especially those who are even deeper into magic, it is Gob, the king of the earth elementals. Of course, those who are into, let's say, a different nuance of magic, the shadow side of this energy might be what people call Mammon. But regardless of how you name or perceive this entity, you might have called upon his help. So that's why he is here right now with this message. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about you, because this message also has a lot to do with what you're trying to do and a little bit of your past. So of course this is about magic after all, and needless to say, not only that are you naturally inclined to this, you're an ancient soul, call it however you want. All your life magic has been all around you. You know, many times you were totally blind and oblivious to your own magic, but other people, friends at school, whoever, even your parents, notice that you have a very special, inspirational effect on people. And those who, especially when you were younger, not today, who didn't actually look at you with very friendly eyes, well, they saw the shadow part, the fearful part of your magic. But anyway, this was deeply woven in your life story. For some of you, you might have started on the Wiccan path, for example, so nature was your teacher. Other people might have been much more attracted to the more, let's say, Kabbalistic expression, ritualistic expression, Golden Dawn, while others still were, and still are of course, extremely eclectic, but this is where it's like proper. You know a little bit about everything and can work with everything. Now, because this was so natural to you, and you know, if you might recall your childhood, take this in a very raw form. Don't just think, well, every child would say that, because no. Just look at what you did. So recall your very, very first wish when, adults asked you what you want to be, or you thought about your future. What do I want to be when I grow up, or as I advance in age, stuff like that. It was always either magic, wizard, sorceress, witch, something always to do with magic, and cartoons and stuff that you read, stories, anything which has to do with fantasy. It's a natural part of a child's life, basically. You always sympathize with not the prince, not the princess, but the witch, the sorcerer, the wizard. And also, sometimes it was actually the witch or the wizard or whatever who was the antagonist, And sometimes you even felt a sympathy, like, why is that so bad? Why is the witch truly evil? Some of you might have even said, well, aren't the prince and the princess or the hero or, I don't know, Dorothy, the evil people and not really the witch? So where I'm getting with this is the attraction. A child is not susceptible to attraction unless it comes from the soul. So basically this is the essence of everything. That is how you know that this was always part of your journey in this incarnation, and everything about you. And naturally, you done a lot of things. You researched, you studied, you might have your own personal philosophical system, magical system. You might even create like magical tools or anything like that. Some of you might even work like with tarot or anything that has to do with nature, or like plant medicine. So, one thing is for certain, you embrace this fully. So it's like 1,000,000% part of your life. You can never be separate from this. And also the spirit world, astral, beyond the veil, anything which has to do with it is many times much more natural for you, much more at home than what other people say real world. Not necessarily the physical world, because nature is your other home. The physical world in the sense nature, that is all you. But the real world in the sense of, let's just say, administration and get a job and accounting, computer, mathematics. An adult has to do this and that and that. That part of the real world, now that is not your home. And you never ever felt at home there. And it made you sad and broke your heart. Many times in your life, the real world put a lot of salt and vinegar on your wounds. But let's speak about the positive things, what you achieved. Well, you healed a lot of people, one way or another, passively or actively, willingly or perhaps more unconsciously, but you healed, you helped, you nurtured, you basically projected your magic onto the lives of many people, and they're grateful. There were people who actually started their own magical journeys thanks to you, thanks to your inspiration. Whatever you were doing was contagious, so you've done the work and you saw results. And even when it isn't susceptible to what you do with another person, even when it's just you and the spirit world, you had experiences. And a lot of you even hardcore experiences, like spirits manifesting in front of you, or like floating objects, whatever you want to name. You've been there, done that, seen it, experienced it, so it's not really something you read from a book, it's something you remember. But there was, or perhaps there still is, something that was never really under control, and that's the 9 of coins. Now the 9 of coins doesn't necessarily just mean money, because some of you do have power over money, as in you can make money. But the element here, which is the problem, the freedom. Even if you can make money, attract money, it's conditioned, as in either you have to work for it, do something for it. It's not, and maybe this is very poor choice of words from my behalf. It doesn't drop out from the sky, and it doesn't give you the free life where you are yourself, do what you want to do 24/7 for the rest of your life. And sometimes there's an inner conflict. You ridicule this. You might say, well, that's actually a thing you would read from stories. Someone to actually, in this day and age, to have the kind of lifestyle where they just explore the spirit world and everything 24/7, totally freely, without any condition. And other times you say, well, this is what I want to do in life. I have to be honest with myself, this is the only thing I can desire, so show me how. But of course, this is where you also had a lot of downs. Misfortunes, bad things in life happened to you. You had moments when magic, as strong as you were, as magical, as wise, as open to the spirit world you were, it just couldn't help you. You had to do it the hard way. Suffer it, cry it out. If sometimes it was material thing, job. For example, you were really good at something, non-magical, but a job, a career perhaps, and you had bad bosses, like really horrible, bad bosses who made you feel like a slave. Other people might have been targeted in their relationship zone, partners who could not get you regardless of what you did. They said they understand, that they accept you, they loved you, but really they didn't. And of course, other people, they were their own enemies. In a sense that maybe they felt that they can't live in the spirit world and the real world at the same time because it's madness. So everyone had their own struggles, their own issues, and moments when they genuinely believed and felt that the divine abandoned them for good. And that left a very strong spiritual trauma, and because of the spiritual trauma, the money, prosperity, all of the symbolism of the Nine of Coins, it just washed away, it went away, it evaporated. So right now, you might have done so much inner work in order to stabilize everything, and your material situation might be okay, but just okay. But you are still aiming for that life that you want, the freedom. You don't want luxury, you just want not to depend on anyone or anything materially. For some people it's a home, for other people it's the farmhouse in the heart of nature. For other people it's that passive income, the bare minimum just to keep them going, but to give them, for example, the opportunity to dream 24/7. Because that's magic, that's what you do. But anyway, one way or another, because this is what you want to do, this is what you want to manifest, you crossed paths with, Horn God or Gob or the king of the earth elementals or the symbolism of earth. Call him however you want, you crossed paths, you said help me. And of course, when you said that, one of the tests was patience. The earth elementals and especially a divine being representing this side of the universe cannot help someone who is not in the frequency of earth. And the frequencies of earth is not greed really. That is like the bad way to do it, because what happens to that which is a glutton or greed in nature, well, it dies of indigestion. Or a bigger predator comes along and it's so fat it can't run away. So you were taught the lessons of, first of all, a minimalistic lifestyle, scarcity, to, oppose greed. Then you were taught patience, the hard way, where you might have worked for something in quite a physical sense, like a job or whatever, and the gratification, the money, the payment either wasn't there at all, or it was in such a small amounts that you just worked for the sake of working. And that embodied the lesson of sacrifice, the Saturn basically. Then of course you were taught the lesson of responsibility, where you had to be responsible, maybe quite materially, for another person. Partner, relative, parent, child. Someone depended on you, maybe for a short while, but, the responsibility was there. It was pressure. And, of course, the lessons can continue, but you did them. And you might ask yourself, well, why didn't my life turn into what I set out on? But this time literally, because, you might ask yourself your question, I manifested this and that and that, which is so much more hardcore than just money or a house or whatever. So what am I doing wrong? And this spirit, this earth spirit, the king of the earth basically is telling you, well, you see, you're not alive, extremely powerful, infinitely wise, and embodying the true essence of magic right now, in the now, for no reason. And right now is a massive world crisis, right? Right now it's really bad, or should be bad for everyone. So basically when a tree falls in the forest, so it's condemned to death, or maybe it's dead, well, before you can actually do something with that, as in an insect to feed on it, or to nurture the soil, to, you get what I'm saying. Well, it has to rot. Rotting takes some time. So the fact that you're here, you're powerful, psychologically, spiritually, in any way possible, you're more than okay. You're aware, you're beautiful, you have everything that you need, and you've done all the tests, the karmic tests that, you asked for something, you showed your worth, but you still have to go with the flow, because if the tree is rotting symbolically, you can only use the free resource that symbolically the tree represents for whatever purposes, to build a home or to feed on, etc., when it's the right stage of decomposition for you personally. Some insects, beings, creatures can use it when it's raw. Others have to wait a bit more. But you know that you're already on the right path. Basically it's already done. You already have it, believe it or not, because the tree has fallen. The tree is the old paradigm, the old order. There is no way back to normality. The corruption is exposed, and we can speak about this for hours. But you're alive and powerful and okay and even beautiful. I don't know why this is a key phrase, but that's what it says. Beauty, your own beauty, for whatever reason, whatever this means to you, is very important. But whatever, you are that right now. So that means you already have it. You just need to wait until you can process it, if that makes sense. So it's already manifested, it's already in your sphere, it's already yours. You passed all the tests, so you're getting it 1,000,000%, one way or another. It's just a matter of time. But when I say time, you can imagine that it's not like 10 years. If you know astrology, what this spirit is showing me, maybe it will be the time around the latest, of course. That's the latest. It can, and it can even be tomorrow for some people. But the latest might be April 2020, when Venus, Jupiter, and Neptune meet in the sign of Pisces. But also what it says, your true prize is not the money, not what you actually asked for, but it's the self-confidence. It is the love of the spirit world. Whatever will happen in your life, however you will get what you asked for, the symbolism is going to be that the spirit world, whoever you ask for this, not only gives it to you, but gives it to you in such a way that it delivers the message that it or they find you beautiful, honorable, as in, not, when you get a present, sometimes the wrapping is impressive. So that is the beauty element to it. So pay also close attention to the wrapping, because that is their honor to you. So thank you so much for listening. I do hope that this was helpful. And, I wish you a blessed and super intense and magical celebration. May your ancestors and the whole spirit world embrace you and reward you for the work you have done in the world. Well, this concludes this Halloween special pick a card reading. Thank you everyone for listening. I do hope that you found it useful and that you enjoyed it. I wish everyone blessed celebrations. May the spirit of our ancestors watch over all of us and the world, especially in these very difficult and troubling times. And please light a candle or show some respect for all those souls who were just here yesterday, symbolically speaking, and have passed over to the other side of the veil. Let's honor their journeys as well. And if you'd like to support me and my work and my channel, you can donate on the PayPal link in the description below. With this being said, thank you once again and blessed Halloween for everyone. Bye for now.